Today is October 2nd, and I had my fleur-de-lis surgery on August the 30th. So it's been just over 1 month and a couple of days. And I wanted to go over some of the questions that people frequently ask me and how I'm doing with my recovery. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling better every day, going for longer and longer walks. But I still don't quite feel comfortable yet with the idea of running, but I'm thinking that that is gonna come pretty soon. I have a doctor's appointment in just a few more weeks, and hopefully at that appointment I'll be given permission to do other things like weight training, as well as anything that involves core, like sit-ups or Roman chair or things along those lines. Still having random bouts of fluid kind of in the area, and that is to be expected as part of the healing process. And I'm gonna be having intermittent fluid delightfulness for up to a year after healing. As I said, pain-wise, I'm feeling better and better. I'm not taking pain medications anymore. After the first 2 weeks, I was only taking pain medications just before bed to help me with sleeping, and probably did that for maybe a week and a half. So it's been about 5-6 days where I haven't taken any pain medications at all. And after that first 2 weeks, I was only taking Tylenol. So my appetite is, it's weird. Okay. I have spent my whole life being a hungry girl, loving food. I mean, I was really skinny as a kid until I wasn't. Once I kind of hit puberty, that's the point where I started gaining weight, and then started gaining weight in a much more rapid fashion just after college. But I've always had a really good, healthy appetite, and my appetite is, I mean, it's there, but I don't need to eat a whole lot of food. And most days I'm eating maybe 2 meals a day. The calories and the macros are gonna kind of vary, but in just the last week, I've had 2 or 3 days where I've been like really hungry. So and I have just kind of indulged myself in that, since I had basically a month where like I was kind of barely eating, or making myself eat. Part of that is because when they tightened up all the muscles in my core, that is, according to the doctor, going to make me feel fuller. But I think part of it also is just general recovery kind of stuff, reduced energy expenditure, spending a lot of time on the couch, not doing all the stuff that I usually do. And so my body just didn't need the calories in the same way as if, I ran 18 miles earlier in the day. Watching HGTV or whatever, not sponsored by them, but watching cable TV all day long does not burn a whole lot of calories. So I've just been kind of going with, if I have cravings for salt, I've been going for the cravings with salt. I've been primarily fat and protein, kind of more almost like a ketogenic sort of diet. And that's just because I just have not wanted the carbohydrates. It's to me, it's weird because, I've never met a carbohydrate that I didn't like, which is how I got so fat in the first place. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about stats, and then I'm going to talk specifically about the pain. So, wrote it down here because I'm not a numbers person, and if I do numbers off the top of my head, I'm going to mess it up. But basically, the day of surgery, I weighed 186 pounds. And this morning, I weigh 176. So 10 points to the dot down. I'm probably actually smaller than that, but I am still maintaining kind of some pockets of fluid. And once I'm able to kind of exercise a little bit more, then I anticipate that my weight is probably going to go down a little bit. But yeah, I'm down 10 pounds since my surgery. My body fat, according to my scale, I was 35.1%, and today 33.5, so that's a minus 1.6% drop. Now, I have found that when I do the DEXA scans that I'm like almost 4 or 5 percentages less than what the scale tells me, but there's a difference. There's definitely a difference. Now, as far as taking a tape measure and putting it around the smallest part of my waist, I was 38.5 inches before the day of surgery, and today I'm 37.5, and so it's a 1 inch differential. Okay, so I'm gonna back up and talk about like scar type stuff. Okay, so I'm just sort of adjusting my clothes here so that you don't have to see that on camera. I'm pulling things up and not showing anything more than you're gonna see at the beach, so you know, sorry about that. Okay, so if I back up, this is the start of the incision line, and you can see that, you know, it's still kind of like a pinkish kind of red. Part of that is because I'm very fair, and that's just my skin type, and so when I get scars, they start out a pinkish red, and then eventually they fade to either nothing or perhaps like a sort of a silvery white. But this is the start of my incision, and I've always kind of had like a little weirdo lumpy bump kind of there, but I also have a weirdo lumpy bump at the start points on my hips. And my personal theory is that there's probably just a lot more either scar tissue that's building where at the start of the incision, possibly there's just like a little more sutures that are there, and so as time goes by, those will dissolve. Okay, so kind of backing up here, as you can see, I have no belly button. Okay, so right about here, possibly here is where my belly button used to live, but I have no belly button anymore. And here is, so if I kind of come around, now this start point right here is the worst. This is where my drain was, and I had the drain, I think it was like a week, maybe 10 days before the drain was removed. So this spot is 7 to 10 days behind everything else, but that is definitely improving. This spot also has one of those weirdo kind of knots underneath, and this area is tender, and then kind of coming around and coming all the way over to here. Okay, getting myself back together. You can see that I definitely have a much more defined waist than I've ever had in my life. I've always been kind of boxy, but now I have, you know, a more defined waistline, and I definitely am flat, not scooped in flat, but flat, and there we go. So yeah, I mean, this is how it's going now. Basically, I have had this sort of, I'm calling it like a 3-inch band here, and one of the things that I'm just gonna step forward here. One of the things that I found kind of, you know, interesting is that the scar line around my beyond the hip to hip and lower stomach area, beyond the first week, I have not had any pain there whatsoever, and that's great because, you know, nobody wants to have, I'm just trying to follow the sun here. So there we have it. Haven't had any pain along here, but this area, basically this sort of 3-inch kind of strip right here, where all of the muscles were manipulated. So like this part here, that was mostly just removing that big floppy hangover Dunlop football, whatever you want to call it, area that I had. So that was mostly just pure tissue that was removed, and that hasn't been painful. It's the scar line, like if I kind of touch on it, the skin directly on top of there, I describe it as feeling creepy. It's not quite an asleep feeling. It's not quite like if you have dental surgery and they do Novocaine where it's numb, but probably closer to that, where I feel that I am touching the area. I feel the pressure, but I don't have feeling. It is improving though. Like it was super, super numb, and now it's not. But it's almost like I'm not even touching myself. It's just, it's just weird. But and the sun is totally coming up here. Okay. So, this kind of 3-inch band is where I have had the pain issues. We're just gonna move more into the shade. There we go. That's so much better. I'm a real person. I don't have a camera crew. I don't have a lighting crew. I don't have any of those kinds of things. So, yeah, there we go. But this sort of 3-inch band, that is where the pain is for me. And literally yesterday, I said to my husband, I feel like I've taken a turn again, where like if the pain was here, suddenly the pain is here. And even this morning, like I went through the whole night. I did not wear my abdominal binder all night long. I've been wearing the abdominal binder kind of on and off, but more off than on, because I just don't feel like I need that support to kind of help me. If we're going on a long walk, and yesterday we went on a walk for about an hour and 20 minutes. The farthest walk that I've gone, we went I think it was 3.3 miles in that hour and a half. If I'm going on a walk, an intentional walk, more than 10 minutes, I'm wearing the binder because I don't want to get caught, being away from my house and then, having like the pain suddenly spike up and feeling uncomfortable. One of the things that I have been noticing is that I've been having sort of sciatica type pain. It's not shooting down my leg, but it's more it's probably starting where the start points are maybe that nerve right there. And so if I've been walking for more than an hour, sometimes I'll get this almost stabby kind of pain right there. But I find that if I kind of lean forward and just sort of gently stretch in that area, that is helpful. But that's also kind of my point where I start realizing, okay, we need to wind this walk up, because I'm starting to have this kind of nerve pain. But I'm doing awesome. I feel great. I'm driving. I'm walking. I'm just kind of walking slower. And I'm looking forward to being able to do all of the exercise, because I feel like I'm losing muscle mass, which is making me crazy. I work so hard to build muscle mass. And, but yeah, I'm doing amazing. So, ask me any questions if you want, if I haven't answered your question, but 1 month out and doing great.